The one thing every single kid could agree on growing up is that school started way too early. But have you ever wondered why school starts so early in the morning? Well, today, I'm going to reveal the real reason they do this, but I'm also going to reveal a bunch of other secrets
that will make you rethink your whole childhood.
So everyone knows how important sleep is to function, which makes you think it would be smarter for school to start later, right? That way, students would actually be able to focus in class instead of all our brains running at about, 3%. So you would think there would be a specific reason why school needed to start so early. Well, actually, there was a reason, but it's just gonna make you angry. Matter of fact, all these secrets I'm about to tell you in this video about your childhood is gonna make you angry. This is just the very beginning. But before I tell you the actual reason for school starting so early, I need to show you something I just found out. So there are people who literally study sleep for a living, and there was one study done which revealed that during puberty, your brain's internal clock shifts. And this makes your body start to produce the chemical that makes you fall asleep later at night and naturally want to wake up later in the morning. It's not laziness. It's not bad habits. It's not because you were on your phone until midnight. This is just how your brain is programmed when you become a teenager. Forcing yourself to wake up early is actually what goes against your biological nature. So actual sleep scientists, like the people whose entire career is understanding how human sleep works, came out and said schools should not start before 8:30 in the morning. They literally wrote this and officially published it. So what did schools do when scientists said this? Schools kept starting before the sun came up. So you may be wondering,
why in the world would they still start school so early?
Well, here's what nobody ever explains. School start times were never designed around when teenagers sleep. They were never designed around you at all. Why the start time is actually so early is because when the modern school system was being built, it was built to fit around adults' schedules. Adults needed to get to work around 9 a.m. on average. So kids needed to be dropped off at school before that. It was the people who created school start times that messed it all up. Every test you ever underperformed on, every time you got in trouble for falling asleep in class, that was not a you problem. That was a school starts at the wrong time problem. And it makes so much sense because I don't think I remember a single thing that went through my brain before 9 a.m. when I was in school. To be fair, I don't remember just about anything that went through my brain while I was in school, but especially before 9 a.m. But it doesn't even end there because if you're American, you could probably relate to everything I just said. But you want to know something I found out recently that grinded my gears? Schools in other countries don't start this early. Apparently in the United Kingdom, most schools start at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. That's a whole nother hour of sleep we could have gotten every single night for 14 years. And it was just taken away from us, just like how we took the tea away from the British people. Okay, sorry. At least I think that's what the Boston Tea Party is about. I don't really know anything about it, to be honest. I'm just guessing they named it that for a reason. I'm just gonna stop. I don't know what the Boston Tea Party was about because I had history class before 9 a.m. But finding out the truth behind why school starts so early makes me mad. But this next secret just makes me feel disgusted. Because have you ever wondered what the Krabby Patty formula in SpongeBob is actually made out of? If you're anything like me, all you wanted to do as a child was try one of those burgers. But after hearing this next secret, I don't think you'll ever want to be anywhere near a Krabby Patty. And to understand this next secret, we need to go over a couple things. So in the show, Mr. Krabs is a crab who sells Krabby Patties, right? And the plot for the whole show is that his rival, Plankton, is constantly trying to steal the secret Krabby Patty formula. The one recipe that makes these burgers so good that everyone in Bikini Bottom is completely obsessed with them. It's like an In-N-Out burger. The perfectly toasted bun, the grilled onions, the sauce. Oh, the sauce. Dang, now I'm really craving an In-N-Out burger. So the secret to Mr. Krabs' recipe is so important that Mr. Krabs protects it like it is literally the most valuable thing that exists. And across all of these episodes and all those years, we never find out what's actually in it. Not once. Now this is where it gets weird because Mr. Krabs has a daughter and her name is Pearl. Pearl is a whale, a large pink whale. Mr. Krabs is a small red crab. For Pearl to be Mr. Krabs' biological daughter, Pearl's mother had to have been a whale, which means at some point, Mr. Krabs was in a relationship with a whale. That whale, which is Pearl's mom, is never talked about in the show. No explanation, no backstory, no mention. There's no episode about what happened to her or where she went. She is just gone and the show doesn't address it. Apparently, there's a theory with a lot of evidence that the formula is Pearl's mom. The whale meat is the formula. Mr. Krabs refuses to let anyone near the formula because if anyone ever found out what was actually in that burger, his business would be cooked. And whales are super rare in Bikini Bottom, so that would make the burger taste unique to anything else you could get there. The theory gets even more dark because people think that once Mr. Krabs runs out of the meat from his wife, he's gonna have to get more. And who is the only whale left in Bikini Bottom? Mr. Krabs' daughter. Nah, that secret was too far. We gotta move on. Ice cream trucks. Let's talk about ice cream trucks because there's a secret about these you won't believe. So during our childhood, we would all hear that jingle signaling that the ice cream truck was coming by. Just picture it. You're chilling inside on a hot day, no air conditioning in your house because your parents don't ever want to turn it on. Sorry guys, I still live with my parents, so so I was just trying to get them to hear my message. But back to the scenario. So you're in the house, and then you hear it. The music coming from somewhere down the street. And there's this thing that happens in your brain that I literally cannot explain, but every single person who grew up hearing that sounds knows exactly what I'm talking about. Everything stops. Whatever you were doing becomes completely irrelevant. You sprint to find a parent. You're already negotiating before you reach them. You need cash, and you need it now. You get the money, and you're out the door chasing that van down the street like your life depended on it. Apparently, the tradition of ice cream vans playing music as they drive through neighborhoods started as a way of communicating the opposite. When the van ran out of ice cream and was done for the day, it would play music to say, hey, don't even bother coming out. The music was supposed to mean that there's no ice cream left in the van. It meant go back inside. Every single one of those times, according to the original purpose of that sound, should have meant that there was no ice cream inside the van. The music was like an outro song. The van was going home, but somehow you got ice cream out of it anyway. Which means at some point, either the whole tradition completely flipped and the music started to mean there was ice cream left. Cause like, I heard that music last week. I'm in my 20s, but I still sprinted after it. Unfortunately though, ice cream truck drivers react a lot differently when they see a 23-year-old man sprinting at them like this, compared to if they see a little kid running after the truck. But hey, adults like ice cream too, all right? Dang, now I'm really craving ice cream. Now I know we already talked about a SpongeBob secret, but there's another one that's even crazier. Because we all thought SpongeBob was just a nice cartoon about a cheerful sponge and his friends, right? No, because unfortunately, this show also had something
Really dark that will ruin your childhood.
SpongeBob SquarePants is a show
About the 7 deadly sins.
and before you think this isn't true, people who actually worked on the show have confirmed it was true. So the 7 deadly sins consist of pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. And in the show, each character represents one of these sins. Patrick Star represents sloth, and it shouldn't be hard to understand why. If you don't know what sloth means, you're probably dumb. I didn't know what it meant either, to be honest. But it basically just means laziness. And Patrick lives under a literal rock and turns doing absolutely nothing into his proud, lifelong achievement. He avoids any form of employment or physical labor, and he actively celebrates his own laziness. In multiple episodes, he even wins awards for doing nothing longer than anyone else in Bikini Bottom. I'm not gonna lie, that kind of sounds like the dream life. I can't even hate on it. But the next character, Mr. Krabs, represents greed. If you've watched even just a single episode of this show ever, you would know why. All this man cares about is chasing the bag, which, to be honest, I respect. But his whole life is consumed by the pursuit of money. He don't care about how his friends are doing, his family. His entire identity revolves around wealth, to the point where he literally dates a sack of money. You gotta remember, this is the same guy who quite literally sold SpongeBob's soul to the Flying Dutchman for 62 cents. Now, can you guess what sin Squidward is? Wrath. The more I go through all these characters, the more obvious it becomes that this show really was based off the 7 deadly sins. But Squidward represents wrath because he basically hates everything and everyone. He hates his neighbors, he hates his job, and he can't stand when other people are happy. The only thing he actually does seem to enjoy in his life is his clarinet, and even that doesn't like him back. We all know a Squidward in our life. Like, I'm sure when I said that, someone came to mind right away. So you know what I want you to do? Call the person in your life who reminds you most of Squidward right now. Will they be happy you called? No. But that's the point. Plankton represents the sin of envy. His entire existence is literally fueled by jealousy over how much more successful the Krusty Krab is than his restaurant. He despises Mr. Krabs, obsessing daily over how to destroy his restaurant rather than just focusing on how to make his own restaurant better. Next up, we got Gary, because Gary's only motivation in life is to eat. That is the only reason he wakes up in the morning. So the sin Gary represents is gluttony. The only time he speaks is when he's crying for a meal. And when his food bowl runs empty, Gary will literally eat through the living room furniture out of pure hunger. Gary, you would be very good friends with my cat because my cat is obese. Seriously, I'm not joking. It's actually getting concerning. But I don't know how to stop it because he'll scream at me if I don't feed him all the time. Like, if anyone has any tips on how to get my cat to stop doing this, please tell me. And for another main character of the show, Sandy, she represents the sin of pride. Sandy is the only character in the show who is a land mammal, not from the ocean. And she takes such pride of that in the show. She's basically like anyone you'll ever meet from Texas, to be honest. And no, I'm not roasting anyone that lives there, okay? I lived there myself. Was it for about 2 months? Yes, but I still lived there. But of course, we can't talk about all the characters of the show without mentioning the star, SpongeBob. Which sin does he represent? Lust. Which, if you don't know what that means, it's basically to desire something really bad. What exactly is the big Bob lusting for? To be loved by everyone. There's not a single episode in the show where SpongeBob isn't trying to please others. And whenever any other character doesn't reciprocate the same love back to SpongeBob, you can see how upset it will make him. SpongeBob's low-key like me the more we talk about him. Matter of fact, all the characters in this show are low-key like me. Wait, does that mean I represent every single deadly sin myself? I need to get help. But anyways, here's the truth behind the show. The show is based off the 7 deadly sins. Now, what should you do with this information? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what you're gonna do with any of the information I'm gonna tell you in this video. But who cares? Well, let's stop real quick because me and my friends were traveling in Europe recently. And it was fun at first, but then everything started going wrong because for some reason, so many places over there were rejecting my friend's credit cards. My card worked basically everywhere, so I ended up using it to pay for everything. And that's because I use Revolut. In case you guys didn't know, Revolut is a global money app, and it's ideal for trips like this because of how easy and convenient it was to exchange currencies, pay in different countries, and even withdraw cash anywhere. So I knew I needed it for Europe. And real quick, you guys could give Revolut a try with $40 to get started. All you have to do is sign up and spend for the first time. You can head to the link in description or scan the QR code here to check them out. When I got the app, I could instantly link my Revolut card to Apple Pay. And that was basically the moment I stopped stressing every time I bought something. I could just tap and go. Plus, it's unique because of how customizable it is. Like you can literally create a custom card with text, emojis, you name it, directly from the app. So obviously, I made mine look completely dumb. And if you upgrade to their metal plan, you'll get this slick, literally real stainless steel card. Like, listen to this thing. What's actually useful is that the app helps you save money when you exchange different currencies directly in-app. With Revolut, I know I'm not wasting money on ridiculous international fees and bad exchange rates. Revolut automatically converts it all for me at the most competitive rate. But personally, I lose things so easily, and I also get super worried about my card information getting stolen. You can freeze the card instantly in the app if you lose it. And they have single-use virtual cards for online purchases, which basically self-destruct after one purchase. Which is good because I click on suspicious websites way more than I probably should. Don't forget, if you guys want to try Revolut, you can get $40 when you sign up to Revolut and spend for the first time. This offer is also available to new Revolut users in selected countries. Head to the link or scan the QR code to learn more. Moving on to the next one. And for this next one, I need you to actually do something right now. Pull up a photo of Chuck E. Cheese pizza on your phone, or just think back hard to the last time you saw one of those things in real life. And look at the slices. Don't glance at them. Actually, look. Look at where the slices meet each other. Look at the sauce pattern underneath each one. Look at whether those slices, when you push them together, form a normal circle the way a pizza made by one person at one time is supposed to form. Because once you take a real hard look, you may think to yourself,
These slices don't match. Not even close.
the sauce under slice 1 might not connect to the sauce under slice 2. The cheese thickness is completely different across sections in ways that make no sense. These slices look like they didn't start their lives together. They came from entirely different pizza families that were assembled into one new pizza and then handed directly to you. They're basically adopted pieces. So the theory is that Chuck E. Cheese collects uneaten slices of pizza from tables after customers leave. They reassemble them into a new pizza and serve that pizza to the next group of customers who comes in. Now, Chuck E. Cheese has responded officially to this conspiracy and said that was completely false. They don't do that. The whole pizza is just one pizza cooked at the same time. But here's my issue with that. They just said it. No footage, no evidence, no proof of any kind. And now look, I'm saying this is all a legend, okay? Because I don't want no beef with Chucky, all right? You guys saw last video that I ain't messing with him no more. And even if you don't fully believe this theory, which once again, I'm not saying I do, okay? I don't want to get in any trouble. Like, I've got enough things to deal with right now.
Actually, no, I don't. I low-key have nothing going on in my life right now.
But anyways, something is visually clearly wrong with how the slices on these pizzas are assembled. That part doesn't really seem like a theory. You can see it with your own 2 eyes right now if you just pull up a photo of their pizza. But what makes this conspiracy so easy to believe is that they could have easily gotten away with doing this. Like, no one actually went to Chuck E. Cheese for the quality of the pizza. You won't ever catch someone being like,
What should we get for dinner tonight?
how about we DoorDash some Chuck E. Cheese pizza?
You need to find help.
When we all used to go to Chuck E. Cheese, we were 8 years old, and all we cared about was getting as many tickets as possible in the arcade games. I would have eaten that pizza even if you told me it was recycled. And I still would have given it 5 stars without hesitating. Nothing on earth could have ruined that meal for me. Not hygiene concerns, not other people's germs. Like, Chuck E. Cheese should have just came out after these conspiracies started and been like,
We do reuse old slices of pizza. And what about it, huh? What about it?
I would have respected Mr. Cheese a lot more if he just did that. Once again, I'm not saying it's true though. Now, we're going back to SpongeBob because for some reason, the creators of this show wanted to put 1,000 different secrets in it that would just crush us to learn when we got older. But this secret is way more crazy than the other ones we've talked about. Are you ready for it? You all better have said yes out loud, okay? Your family members may think you're schizophrenic if you do that, but it's all right. They just don't get it. So between 1946 and 1958, the United States government used a place called Bikini Atoll as a nuclear weapons testing site. They detonated 23 nuclear bombs there. Some of the largest nuclear detonations in human history happened at this exact location. One test was so powerful, it vaporized entire islands. Not damaged, not flooded, just deleted them, like they don't exist anymore. But the water surrounding those islands and every living thing in it was exposed to enormous amounts of radiation for over a decade. And one of the common effects of radiation is mutation. It changes your DNA. And now that I've told you this, think about what the show SpongeBob SquarePants is actually about. Talking sea creatures who walk upright, own businesses, run restaurants, go to school, drive boats, play musical instruments, and live in houses with furnitures and mailboxes and front doors. Set in a place called Bikini Bottom, named directly after the island the United States government used to detonate nuclear weapons. SpongeBob can talk because of radiation. Patrick can hold a conversation because of radiation. Well, I mean, Patrick can barely hold a conversation, but he can. The creator of SpongeBob has been asked about this theory in interviews, and every single time this question is asked, he just smiles and changes the subject. It does not take a mind reader to understand why he answers this way. Now, here's a funny secret that you, me, and literally everyone watching this went through. So we all know about the tooth fairy, right? You lose a tooth, you put it under your pillow, you go to sleep, and while you're unconscious, some small, unknown creature reaches its hand under the pillow that your head is currently sleeping on, removes your tooth, and replaces it with money. Sounds like breaking and entering if you ask me, but that's not the point. Because what I actually want to talk about is what was really going on with the tooth fairy. Because researchers looked into what children were getting paid by the tooth fairy across different areas. And what they found was a consistent, significant gap in payments based entirely on where you live. Kids in richer neighborhoods were getting noticeably more money per tooth than kids in less rich areas, consistently. Every time they look at the data, there was a big pay gap. Like me personally, I got $1 per tooth. I'm not gonna beat around the bush though. What am I actually trying to say about the tooth fairy? I'm saying
That the tooth fairy just straight up hated some of us.
no, I'm joking. What I'm actually saying is the tooth fairy,
Was not fair.
and we all know exactly why it wasn't fair. The next secret is about Finding Nemo. You all know the movie. It's about a little orange fish who gets lost. The dad swims across the entire ocean to find him. He ends up meeting a girl fish named Dory, who we all find kind of weirdly attractive. That was a joke, guys. I don't actually find Dory attractive. I mean, unless you guys agree, then maybe it wasn't a joke. No. It was a joke, okay? It was a joke. Unless. No. We all thought this was a beautiful, wholesome movie. But there's one issue. At the very beginning of the movie, a barracuda attacks the nest where Nemo's family lives. And almost every single egg, aka Nemo's future siblings, gets destroyed. So Nemo's dad, completely devastated, is left holding the one last egg that survived. He named that egg Nemo, and that's where the movie begins. But here's a popular theory about this film that actually makes a lot of sense when you look into it. What if the dad, Marlin, was now sitting completely alone at the bottom of the ocean? He just lost literally everything. So what does he do? He invented a son in his mind because he couldn't keep going without one. Think about what Nemo actually is in this movie. He's perfect. Brave, clever, kind, loves his dad completely, never does anything wrong. Unlike Nemo, kids in real life are usually a lot worse. Real kids eat dirt off the floor and have full screaming meltdowns in airplanes that last for hours. And yes, I'm talking to you, baby, that was on my flight from Paris to Los Angeles. 11 hours, and that baby cried the whole time. Just know, we're throwing hands if I ever see you in public. If you still don't believe that Nemo passed away before he was even born, just think about Dory, who we definitely don't find weirdly attractive. But Dory can't remember what happened 10 minutes ago. So even if somehow Dory pieced together that
Nemo isn't real.
she could literally not hold on to that information long enough to do anything about it. She would forget and go right back to going along with what Marlin was doing. She just keeps swimming. She never questions anything because she can't remember anything. And who's really the only person that Marlin is around the whole time while looking for Nemo? Dory. The only person who couldn't say to Marlin,
Nemo ain't real, big dog.
so at the end of the day, Nemo's dad is schizophrenic and Dory has Alzheimer's. So this whole movie is just about some mentally ill fish. Is it possible for fish to have schizophrenia actually? Hey Siri, can fish have schizophrenia?
I don't know, dog.
I'm done, bro. But for this next theory, I need to summarize the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie just in case y'all forgot the plot. So, a poor kid named Charlie Bucket. Wait, why did the editor put an arrow towards me when I said poor? You did it again? Poor, poo. Tricked ya. Anyways, Charlie wins a golden ticket in this movie to visit a mysterious chocolate factory owned by a strange man named Willy Wonka. He's not the only one. 5 kids total win tickets. They all show up with the parent and get the tour. The bad kids start disappearing one by one. Augustus Gloop drinks from the chocolate river after being specifically told not to, and he gets sucked up by a pipe. Violet chews experimental gum she is clearly told not to touch, and she turns into a blueberry, and then she gets wheeled out of the room. Verica Salt gets assessed by a room full of trained squirrels who determine determines she is a bad nut, and then they throw her down a rubbish chute. A kid named Mike interferes with a television machine and gets miniaturized to almost nothing. The way these kids are getting caught just sounds like natural selection if you ask me. But here's what I need you to actually think about for this movie. Not one of those children is ever shown leaving the factory. Augustus gets sucked into the pipe and we never see him come out the other end. Violet gets wheeled out of a room and we never see her again. Mike is last seen miniaturized with zero indication of how he can fix that. And none of them appear at the end of the film confirmed to be okay. None of them wave goodbye. None of them get in a car and go back home. And every single time a child disappears, the Oompa Loompas come out. And they perform a full song and dance production about the child who just vanished. But if you actually listen to the words of this song, you'll realize they are songs about a child in the past tense. They're singing about what that child was, what they did, what specific flaw led directly to what just happened to them. And it's sung immediately after that child goes somewhere we cannot see and does not come back from. So these songs are eulogies. Wonka knew everything that was going to happen on that tour before it started. He knew which children were coming. He knew their weaknesses. He designed every single room specifically to place those exact weaknesses in front of those exact children. He knew they would be too tempted and would give in. So he built a factory that was essentially a personalized test for each child on the list. And when each child failed their test, the Oompa Loompas were already rehearsed and ready because Wonka had planned the entire sequence out before any of them walked through the door. But the funny part is, the parents are standing right there. Every single time a child disappears, their parent is standing right next to Wonka watching it happen. And they don't chase after their child. They don't do anything. They just stand there while small orange men in coordinated outfits perform fully choreographed musical numbers about what just happened to their child. Parents of the year, if you ask me. So basically, let's just rip the band-aid off. Those kids in the film, they're no longer with us, to put it kindly, because Willy Wonka slimed them all out. Not very nice, Willy. Willy. Okay, sorry. You know, I'm just gonna end the video before I keep saying Willy. Willy.